Scorpio Full Moon Taroscope. So the Scorpio Full Moon that we have on May 12th, 2025. We're going to talk all about this lunation and how you can make the most of it. It's going to be great. I just got to find my notes. Where did I put my notes? I may have deleted my notes just a moment ago. In any case, welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you are returning. I'm Joshua the Psychic. You can check out my website, psychicsun.com, if there's anything I can do for you. So a little bit of housekeeping, so to speak. So next week, I will not be doing a live here. You may get some video, but I will be doing a really cool event with author Jessie Rosen. She is an amazing author, and she wrote a book that has a lot of astrology in it, and we're going to be doing a virtual book party and an astrology workshop. So the link to that is in the description below. It's free. So you can check that out if you're so inclined. If you have any creative aspirations, this would be a great workshop for you to attend. It's going to be an hour and a half at 8 p.m. Eastern till 9:30 p.m. Eastern on Thursday next week, May 8th. So the link is in the description. Let me know if you have any questions, and you'll learn about your big three in your astrology chart. So you should have that information handy before the workshop. So, yes, we have a lot to talk about tonight. The Scorpio full moon is on May 12th, 2025. Now, if you're catching this live, you'll know that we had the new moon in Taurus on April 27th. So we're still in this Taurus new moon phase, which we're drawing things in. And 2 weeks after that new moon in Taurus, we have the Scorpio full moon. Themes that you can expect: emotions, a lot of emotions. Scorpio is a very emotional sign. Transformation, it's very transformative. Intensity, there's a lot of intensity with this energy, with Scorpio energy. Even a Scorpio moon can be rather intense. And the theme of letting go is going to be very important. So you want to really roll with the punches as best as you can. And that's going to help you an awful lot. So the full moon will be at 22 degrees. You're going to feel this most strongly if you have an aspect of or point between 18 and 26 degrees of the fixed signs, i.e. Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, or Aquarius. So I would check your chart to see what you might have in that space, because that'll tell you where you're going to be experiencing any changes, any illuminations, and where there's going to be that sense of intensity. So it will be at 22 degrees. The sun will be at 22 degrees Taurus, of course. So because the sun and the moon are always in opposite signs during a full moon. So the theme for this month for you is wherever 22 degrees of Taurus is, like that's the overarching theme. And then you can find out where the balance will be with that 22 degrees of Scorpio. So we also have the sun, as we said, at 22 degrees Taurus, but it's very, very close to Uranus, which is at 26 degrees Taurus. So we have the sun in Taurus conjunct Uranus, and because Taurus, the sun in Taurus, is opposing the new moon, Uranus, this lunation, is also opposite the new moon, the full moon. So that's gonna create a little bit of unexpected energy. Now, you might bypass it and nothing might happen, right? Because maybe you're just not, and nothing in your chart is within orb of these points, but you want to be aware of that. There is going to probably be some unexpected energy. So I would expect the unexpected with Uranus. It can shake up our world a little bit and help us to break free from old patterns. Hey, Casmar, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. So expect the unexpected with Uranus there. We also have Mercury at 3 degrees Taurus, making a square, an exact square to Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius. So this calls for very deep transformative thinking. There may be conversations that are game changers, and you may be challenged in terms of communications. Squares sort of force a change. So allow yourself to, Taurus, look at your values and make decisions based on those values. I think with this square, you may also find hidden truths revealed, which they may be intense, but ultimately they're going to be freeing, right? Hello, 11th gate. Nice to see you. And luckily, we also have this beautiful trine. The full moon at 22 degrees Scorpio is making a trine to Saturn in Pisces at 28 degrees. So this is really nice. This is a stabilizing force. It's going to give us the structure and patience we need to navigate these powerful energies with grace. So I'd really focus on the Saturn. Do whatever you can to be very productive during this full moon. Find out what you need to attack, right? The traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars, so there might be this need to go after something, and it could be cleaning a space or tackling a project. So just make sure that you're being constructive, because that trine to Saturn is really a blessing. We're really going to enjoy Saturn a lot, and it's going to be a saving grace for us with these other rather intense aspects. So when we're talking about Taurus and we're talking about Scorpio, you want to understand Scorpio by looking at its opposite, right? And that would be Taurus. So Taurus is the ruler of the second house. It has to do with your personal possessions, your money, what you value, your values, your sense of security, your sense of self-worth. Whereas Scorpio is about your shared resources, those things that you share with other people. It's about transformation, not maintaining the status quo, as Taurus is about. And it's about intense change, not security or stability. It's all about transformation and change. So we need the balance of these two energies. We got to determine what do we need to hold on to and what do we need to let go of. And overall, what's happening is we're balancing the material world, Taurus, with the depths of the psyche. So it's a rite of passage. Taurus is ruled by Venus. And Venus is very, very, very bright, right? And that's why we need the balance of it to be Scorpio, which is a darker sign, right? So we always have that balance. And they say your light is only as bright as the darkness it sits beside. So the Scorpio full moon is going to bring things to light that inevitably will help you to shine brighter, more authentically. We have to integrate our shadow side most likely during this lunation. And you might become aware of your shadow side. It might be illumined, right? As well as other people's, or certain things might take on a more very clear sense of what you're playing with. So for instance, you might understand what the gist of a project is and how you can achieve success with this project or a relationship. You might see where there is a fly in the ointment, where things are not going well, right? And it also can be very, very positive. You could be like, oh, here's a solution to this problem, or here's what I need to fix, and here's what I need to let go of. So it is very intense, but it's going to be quite rewarding if we work with the energies. So what can you expect this lunation? Well, there's a lot of intensity, right? Not only is it a Scorpio moon, but we have that square, we have that opposition. With Uranus, you could expect sudden changes. Mental breakthroughs, scintillating successes can also come with Uranus. You're going to see a need for release and transformation, anything that's heavy, anything that's weighing you down. Scorpio, in some respects, is about simple, innocent pleasures. And how do you get that? But you need to let go of anything heavy, anything that is messing with your vibration. You definitely want to align with Saturn's grounding influence in order to make the most of this lunation. So some tips, you might want to think about letting go of emotional baggage. You know, what relationship ghosts of the past do you need to release? What stories are no longer relevant for you? You want to face your fears with courage. That shouldn't be too difficult. Scorpios are pretty fearless. You want to step into your authentic self. The whole point of death, metaphorically, is to strip away the unessential, what is not you, right? So you're getting more into your authentic self, and that's going to invariably help you to become more you and more satisfied, more fulfilled. So use Saturn's energy for grounding and structure. This is a great lunation from the 12th to the 26th to really connect to the earth and set some powerful intentions for transformation. What do you want to transform in your life? So let's go through every single sign. We have a quote too to help you work with these energies. So for Aries, the full moon in Taurus in Scorpio is going to be hitting your 8th house. So it's all about transformation, boundaries, how you can be empowered. What do you need to let go of? How can you use boundaries to become more powerful? i.e., do you need to set a boundary? Or do you need to release a boundary? Are you being too protective of yourself and not allowing yourself to be vulnerable? Because if you release a boundary, you could be empowered. And if you erect a boundary, you could also be empowered. So, the rule of thumb is if something makes you feel good, well, let down your guard, release a boundary, let somebody in closer. But if something makes you feel bad, is undermining your emotional security, well, be sure to erect a boundary. And it's all about release. Now, the card that we chose for you, Aries, is we picked for you randomly. So it's King of Swords, and I think this is really interesting. So the kings of the mature courts, right? And swords are all about the intellect. So the advice for you with King of Swords is to really be super logical. You don't want to blow a gasket. You don't want to shoot first and ask questions later. You want to be more balanced and more logical. That's going to help you navigate these changes with grace. And you also are just going to be You're going to be more in control if you allow yourself to align with the energy of King of Swords. You don't want to be overly emotional, and you don't want to do things that are irrational. You want to be as rational and as disimpassioned in some respects as possible. So you could look at it logically. Okay, I need to transform this. Okay, I need to set a boundary, etc. Goethe has a quote that I wanted to share with you in regard to your 8th house transit, Aries. The world is so empty if one thinks only of mountains, rivers, and cities, but to know someone who thinks and feels with us and who has a soul is a great and surprising bliss. So this is about the interplay of people and how through connection we can achieve that sense of satisfaction that can be really game-changing. So at the end of the day, you want to connect with people and you want to allow yourself to be transformed by that connection. And you don't want to have your boundaries so strong that you miss out on that surprising bliss of interconnectedness, which is what Scorpio is all about. Scorpio is about combining energy, right, to get stronger. So just consider that and enjoy your full moon. So Taurus, this full moon is hitting your 7th house. So it's all about partnerships, your long-term relationships and commitments. So we're partnerships, long-term relationships. This could be your relationship, your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend. It could be your best friend forever. It could be a consultant or consultants that you have. It rules contracts, the 7th house. So you could find yourself completing a contract during this period or reaching a stage of completion. An illumination with a contract. Oh, I see this here. Now I have to do this. Okay. 7th house also has to do with your audience, if you have an audience. And it also has to do with open enemies. So, what we're dealing with when we're talking about the 7th house, it's the unlived self. So we wind up getting into relationships with people who represent the part of ourselves that are not lived by us, right? It's our opposite. And theoretically, what we do is we come together with our unlived self or our partner and become whole, right? You can also integrate your 7th house energies into your own life, right? And essentially, you can become more whole by allowing yourself to really look at your unlived self or your shadow side, and you can integrate it. But you can expect this full moon for a light to be shown on your partnerships, on a contract, on your audience, what you need to do for your audience, what's going on with your audience. And the card that was pulled for you is Six of Pentacles. Now, this is a really cool card. It's about a shift in power. So you, if you've been going through it, especially in your relationships, and you've been putting in the work, well, you're going to get some payoff. The Six of Pentacles is finally, you're getting your rewards. Things are being balanced. Now, if you feel like you've been getting away with bloody murder, well, this might be the balance for that too, Taurus, especially because the full moon will be in your opposite sign. But at the end of the day, there's going to be some nice balance, and you might actually get to enjoy some money. Unexpected money is a meaning of the Six of Pentacles. So be on the lookout for that. You could get a new contract, for instance, right? And Rilke said, love consists of this: two solitudes that meet, protect, and greet each other. So really, you want to allow yourself to connect with people as much as possible. And the full moon is going to shine a light on what you need in terms of your partnerships, how you might be showing up in your partnerships, and what, at the end of the day, is going to make you more fulfilled, not just in terms of your partnerships, but even in terms of what you have to integrate into your life in order for you to have more balance. Remember, the sun and the moon are in opposite signs. It's an opportunity for balance. So enjoy your full moon. So Gemini, this full moon will be hitting your 6th house. So the 6th house has to do with your health. It has to do with your work, service, your routines, the nuts and bolts of your day-to-day operations. And you're going to probably find that you're completing a stage. Maybe there'll be some health issue that's illumined, and you're like, oh, okay, this is what I have to do in order to get to that next level of health. There might be a completion in terms of work, meaning you're completing a project, or really saying, you know what, this job isn't good for me anymore. Maybe your routine is really getting old and you need to change your routines, right? But it's about a big light being shown in these areas to tell you what might need adjustment. And it also can be fulfillment. I mean, it also can be a harvest, right? Finally, you reach that place of really great health, or you're really satisfied in terms of your work. Now, the card that was pulled for you is King of Cups. So the kings are about maturity and the cups are about emotion. So even though for you, Gemini, it's a 6th house transit, that's an earthy house, the card King of Cups is telling you to be really emotionally mature and to also be very compassionate and aware of other people's emotions. So you want to allow yourself to also be aware of your own emotions, even if you might be somewhat detached from them. And the King of Cups really says that you want to have that level of emotional security and that sense of emotional maturity, so that you're showing up for people in a compassionate way without losing the script, right? You want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on everything that's important in your life, i.e., your health, your work, your service, and your routines, but you also want to do it with a certain level of sensitivity with King of Cups. King of Cups is very emotionally mature, and he understands the emotional landscape. And there's a fish, if you notice in the card, that is hanging around his neck. And, that means that he is somewhat beholden to his emotions, but he isn't his emotions, right? There's that balance there. Camus said, freedom is nothing but a chance to be better. And that really is what the 6th house transit for you, Gemini, is all about. It's about self-improvement. How can you improve your work? How can you improve service to other people? How can you improve your health, your routines, etc.? So enjoy that. Hello, Haley. Nice to see you. And enjoy your full moon, Gemini. So Cancer, this is going to be a fun one for you. You have a 5th house transit. So the 5th house has to do with creativity, romance, joy, your inner child. Whatever lights you up with joy. If you have children, this could also be what is referenced here for this transit for you, because the fifth house also has to do with the things that you create in terms of it could be your kids, it could be creative projects, etc. And you might be reaching a stage of completion in terms of a creative project or a romance. You might be reaching the state of fulfillment. Oh, wow, I think I'm in love. Or, yeah, this isn't going to work, whatever it might be. You can experience a lot of emotions during this transit, and I'm hoping that they're going to be very positive for you. I think that they should be, with the fifth house just being such a happy-go-lucky energy. So you also might determine, oh, this is what's going to make me happy. This is what's going to make me joyful. And once you know that, well, it's a big game changer, isn't it? Right? At the end of the day, the fifth house has to do with those things that light you up with joy. So a big light is going to be shown on what can make you happy, what can make you joyful, what will make the inner child rejoice. And because it's a full moon, it could also be a real bright light is shown on what is undermining your creativity, what is keeping you from romance, what is keeping you from joy, what is keeping your inner child stifled, in which case you're going to be able to release it. Now, the card we chose for you, Cancer, is the Hermit. Now, the Hermit is about completing a cycle, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily will be a hermit. In fact, sometimes the Hermit can mean leaving a period of solitude and rejoining the world. And it also can be a card of sexual healing. But in any case, you're wrapping things up during this period, according to the Hermit. And it's going to be important for you to make sure that you're refining things, that you're refining your creative projects, that you're refining your romance. And that's what might happen during this period from the 12th to the 27th of May. You might be able to really get a sense of what needs to be refined or adjusted in these areas. Dylan Thomas once said, "Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light." And I think in context for your fifth house transit, there's a light inside of you when we're talking about the fifth house, and that needs to be expressed. You should allow yourself to be joyful. Your creativity should be aggressive. Love, they say, is actually a very aggressive act, right? So find out what lights you up and go after it with being unabandoned, right? You want to allow yourself to really, really make your joy a priority. Make sure that inner child is really, really, really happy. What is going to make your inner child really, really happy? And how can you live a life of that abandon, right? In which you're so happy to be alive. Because then everything in your life is going to get easier. It's going to get easier if you have that joy, if you have that fire, if you have that passion. So enjoy your full moon. So Leo, this is an important transit for you. It's angular, which means it's on either the 1st, 4th, 7th, or 10th houses. And when you have an angular transit, it's like pinball, like hits the other ones. So, this is hitting your home and family sector of your chart, but it also, because it's angular, could be hitting your personality, your partnerships, and also your career. But the big news for you, a light is going to be shown on your home, your family, what makes you emotionally secure, or what undermines your emotional security and your self-trust, right? You might reach this next level of self-trust, or you might determine, oh, this is undermining my self-trust, right? You might be completing a family project. There might be a reunion. Something is coming to a head domestically, right? And ideally what's going to happen, Leo, is you're going to get a big light shown on, oh, okay, this is what I need to feel emotionally secure. Now, the card we chose for you is the Fool. And I think this is really interesting. It's about, you starting these brand new beginnings, brand new experiences, craved and obtained. And the Fool doesn't really have a history, right? It's zero. It's starting from scratch. So allow yourself to determine this full moon, as a light is shown on your 4th house, what do you need to really tap into that sense of being really nurtured and really taken care of? And you could look at it archetypically as the divine mother. How can you tap into that divine mother and nurture yourself in ways that really make a difference, that make you feel really, really fulfilled and nurtured, unconditionally loved and supported? And take a leap of faith with the Fool, right? Start from scratch. Anais Nin, Pisces, said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And this is very important in light of the fourth house, because the fourth house has to do with your foundation, your emotional foundation, your background. So when we're dealing with the fourth house, we got to look at how our emotional foundations might be faulty. What were we brought up with? What beliefs did our parents have that we may have inherited that we don't really need, right? How was your mother's parenting style not what you needed? And what do you need to balance that, right? And you can also look at it as your perspective. Like when you change the way you look at the past has different effects. I.e., if I say, oh, I was such a victim and I was hurt and whatnot, and that may be true, but, that could perpetuate. Instead, if you wind up saying, oh, yeah, well, I had gone through a lot in my early childhood development, but that was what allowed me to determine my preferences. I needed that contrast. I needed to find out what I didn't want in order to determine what I do want. And now I'm going to create a whole brand new emotional story. And if you're going to make a major change to your fourth house, well, it may as well be under the Scorpio full moon. So allow yourself to start fresh. Find out what you need to feel really, really at home within the self, all tucked in, and really yummy on the inside. That's going to be key. And happy full moon. So Virgo, this full moon is hitting your third house. So a lot of stuff is going to probably be happening from the 12th to the 27th for you. You're probably going to have a lot of information being thrown at you, and you're going to have to really be Virgo this transit and really separate the wheat from the chaff. Okay, this is irrelevant. I don't need to concern myself with this. Not my monkeys, not my service. Scope creep. If you work in a job that may have that, this could happen, right? Because boundaries are going to be tested, and you're probably going to have to assert yourself. But at the end of the day, a big light, the full moon, is being shown on your communication, how you communicate with other people, your mindset, because the most important person you'll ever communicate with is yourself. Learning. You might be reaching a stage of completion in terms of a class that you're taking or something that you're writing or even teaching. And socializing. The third house has to do with those socializing, social events that you might go to on a regular basis. And the light is going to be shown in these areas. So you might find, oh, this is what I need to do to improve this, or this is no longer working for me, or, oh, yes, I finally found that class that is going to make a big difference. Now, don't feel bad about the card we chose for you. It's 9 of Swords, but, essentially the good news with 9 of Swords is you're driving yourself nuts. You're not really dealing with other people that are interfering or causing problems. Of course, whatever's happening internally is reflected in the outside world and comes back to us and other people. But typically 9 of Swords has to do with anxiety and worrying and over-analyzing, over-intellectualizing. But if you notice on his blankie, he has the astrological symbols right on his blanket. And that suggests that even during times of hardship, you're still loved and you're still protected and you still have your spirituality. And it's also reminiscent of the cycles that we go through. Sometimes we need to go through difficulty in order to reach that state of bliss, right? So I would say with 9 of Swords, Virgo, don't overanalyze things. Don't obsess over things. Allow yourself to make peace of mind your only goal, and definitely create boundaries with the information that's thrown at you. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be some creative things or communicative things that are going to be fun. There probably will be. But with this full moon, there's going to probably be a lot being thrown at you, and you don't want to overdo it. Rilke said, the only journey is the one within. So keep in mind that wherever you go, whoever you meet, whatever it is that you do, you're confronting yourself, right? And what do you need to heal? What do you need to love? How do you need to really nurture and care for yourself so that the internal landscape is all love? And then because you're creating life, right, through you, life is being created through you, you're going to see some really great things because you're nurturing the internal landscape. So keep that in mind, Virgo. Nurture yourself as best you can. Stay out of your head, get into your body, and know when to draw your limits and set boundaries. Hey, Marlo in the making. Happy Friday Eve to you. Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So Libra, you got this one in your second house. So the second house has to do with your money, your wealth, your resources, your values, your sense of self-worth. To a certain extent, your voice, right? How you speak up. And a big light might be shown on, oh, okay, well, this is how I can make more money. Or you might reach a stage of completion. Oh, wow, I finally, hit the jackpot. Or, things are going well for you financially, right? There also might be a big light shown on your values. You might realize, oh, geez, I actually care about this more than that, right? Whereas historically, your priorities had been different. You also might get a sense of your real sense of self-worth, how worthy you are and what you bring to the table. And that's going to help you in everything, right? That will help you in your relationships, in terms of your work. A big thing with the second house transit is to really understand what you care about, because if you understand your values, you're able to then get them fulfilled. And that's what happiness is. It's value fulfillment. And your values may have been jostled around with Uranus having been in Taurus for the past several years. So it's a good time to check in with yourself and say, what do I really, really care about? Am I just used to going through the motions of something that is no longer relevant? Now, the card we pulled for you is Four of Pentacles, which is apropos for the second house. The Four of Pentacles is about holding on to what you have, right? What values do you need to hold on to? And it comes with a little bit of a warning. When we hold on too tightly to what we own owns us, right? So it's a balance. You want to hold on to what you have, right? But you also want to make sure that you're not being so tight that you squeak, right? And I would say that you also just want to get a really good sense of yourself and what you bring to the table. And don't be afraid to eat alone. Camus said, in the depth of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer. So while all the world, theoretically, is crashing all around you, at the end of the day, you have this indestructible core. And that's what the second house is about. It's about your self-worth. So while other people might be acting out and being a little crazy, you got to hold on to your sense of self, your center, right? Because in that center, at the end of the day, that is what is going to determine your outlook, your perspective, and how things go for you. So don't be thrown around by other people's nonsense should you encounter it. Instead, focus on that indestructible self at your core and maintain your sense of self-worth irrespective of what's going on around you. And happy full moon. Scorpio, so you're the star of the show this full moon in your sign, and it's all about your self-image, your personality, right? Your personality creates your personal reality. So if you want a new personal reality, you might be changing your personality. And it's about your perspective, your perception. If I put on red glasses, I'm going to see everything red, right? And when we change the way we look at things, the things that we look at change. So this is a time in which you might get an understanding of like, oh, this is how I am. And then you might get an understanding of, oh, this is how I want to be. because you're creating yourself along. You're not beholden to the personality that you've been projecting all of this time. You can do whatever you want. The first house also has to do with first impressions. Hi, nice to meet you. That's the first house. Whereas the 10th house is how the world sees you by virtue of your profession, right? So a first house transit could be about the package that you present to the world. You might decide to get a new hairstyle, sport a new look, carry yourself in a different way, assert yourself differently. Because the first house has to do with the the package that you present to the world. But a big light is going to be shown on you. And you're going to determine what it is that you need to do in order to reach that next level of happiness, of bliss, of ecstasy. Because although Scorpios can get very, very, very low, the balance of that is true. They can get very, very, very high. So if you're ever going through a really rough time and you're feeling these emotions that are incredibly deep, dark, and intense, guess what? Well, you're in for a treat, because that means that you're going to be able to experience the other side of that. So the level of depth, the depth of despair that you experience is comparable to the level of bliss, of ecstasy you can experience. So keep that in mind. Now, the card we chose for you is Knight of Swords. Now, this is really interesting. This is about being rather ruthless. And I think that, things are going to be coming to a head, and you need to be really direct and fast. And you might be very busy this transit. Knight of Swords often talks about changes that require fast and competent reactions. But I think the most important thing with Knight of Swords is to not suffer fools gladly. You don't need to necessarily blow your stack, but you need to be able to ruthlessly cut out those things that are undermining your sense of emotional security, or whatever it is that you feel, this is not me. And that's why anger is good. Anger, they say, only lasts for like 15 seconds. And that's just a rush of understanding, this is not for me. This is not me. So if you experience that, well, then don't be afraid to let it go. Knight of Swords is about really being extremely logical. And it might be about really ripping the Band-Aid off fast, right? Because if you've been holding on to things and you've been wanting to make changes and you've been dilly-dallying and delaying, well, this is probably your moment. Rilke said, you are not a prisoner of your identity. You are its creator. So keep that in mind. You're constantly creating yourself. And what parts of yourself do you need to kill off in order for you to reach that next level of happiness? There might be some things that you need to stop doing, or people that you need to stop engaging with, right? What is no longer you? What is this, Haley? I just used the word ruthless in a press release. Oh, very nice. Ruthless is underused, Marlo says. I agree. And Sagittarius. So this full moon will be hitting your 12th house. So you want to get your extra rest, get some sleep. Because the best work that you're going to do under a 12th house transit is probably going to be unconscious, right? It's with your subconscious, because the 12th house is the house of the subconscious. So get your rest. Be sure to do affirmations. Don't give yourself the luxury of a negative thought. You might really enjoy your privacy during this transit. Now, that full moon is going to be shining a big light on your subconscious. Did I do that? You might realize, oh, geez, I do these things. I'm getting myself in this situation again. You might get an understanding of your paradigms, your hang-ups, the things that you do, your karma, right? And you also might be going through a big ending, right? The 12th house has to do with endings. It's the last house of the zodiac. What is no longer for you? What new role are you playing? And what psychological stuff do you need to release in order to fully step into that new role? This is also a really great time for you to develop your spirituality and to really determine what's in your subconscious. What subconscious beliefs do you have? Because at the end of the day, you get what you subconsciously believe you are, or what you believe you deserve. So it's a good time to shine a light on your subconscious beliefs and then instill new beliefs, right? By what you focus on. The card we chose for you is Two of Wands, and that's usually about success in two or more areas. And it's about your personal power. So I would say, in light of your 12th house transit, work your mind, work around with your beliefs, right? You can think about changing your beliefs in your head as if you're moving around furniture. Oh, I used to think that I didn't deserve this, and now I think I deserve whatever I want, right? These little things, even visualizing yourself moving around beliefs in your head, they have very, very strong effects, especially this full moon. I also say with second two of wands, it really is about the world being your oyster and you really owning your personal power. You get to do what you want. This is your life. But it doesn't matter what you want to do. What matters is what you subconsciously believe that you deserve. And you have the personal power to make changes to your subconscious, and that will change everything. Anais Nin said, "We are not afraid of the future. We are afraid of the past repeating itself." How wise, right? So in light of your second house transit, you get to rip up the old script. This happened before. That's irrelevant. This is the new story. And if you can keep the new story front of mind, well, that's the story that's going to play out, right? So don't let the past rob you of your joy in the present or your joy in the future. Because Two of Wands says you have the personal power to make the changes that you want. Oh, what a great analogy. Never thought about changing beliefs like changing furniture. Yeah, well, that's Seth. That's not me, really. That's a Seth teaching. But yes, you can picture moving around your beliefs like moving around furniture. I deserve this, not this. And you want to look at what you're achieving. Like, what are you manifesting? Another dud. Another, project I don't like, whatever it might be. And again, you just want to look at your beliefs and change those around. Thank you, Marlo. So Capricorn, you're going through an 11th house transit this full moon. So it's all about your hopes and your wishes and your dreams and your ideals. Friends, community, network. So it's really about looking at what is going to make you happy long term, right? And who can help you get there, right? Because the 11th house has to do with your network as well. And typically you're going to get to where you need to go via your friends, right? Via your friends and your network, the people that you know. So a big light is going to be shown on your hopes and your wishes and your dreams and your ideals. You might get that vision. This is what I want. You also might be closing a cycle in terms of having achieved a level of completion around a hope, a dream, or a wish. You might get a light shown on your community or your friends. Well, I didn't think this person was like that. Or it could be a matter of, I finally found this person. I finally found this great friend or this great group, right? The card we chose for you is Queen of Swords. So you want to allow yourself to be very, very smart during this transit and very cool, because people are probably going to be losing their shit, right? Some people will. And you want to allow yourself to be cool and disimpassioned like Queen of Swords. I also think with Queen of Swords, you want to be really logical. How can you achieve your hopes and your dreams? And what do you need to achieve in order to be happy? Be smart in regard to your friends. Your friends, they might be acting out, right? And you guys got to be logical and not take it personally. Lois Wise, what a great name, right? Executive and author. She said, a good friend is a connection to life, a tie to the past, a road to the future, the key to sanity in a totally insane world. So find out your friends, right? Really allow yourself to, first and foremost, be a very good friend to yourself, right? And treat yourself really well. And that's going to help you manifest more friends. And if you already have really great friends in your life, well, hold them close and honor them, and maybe talk about each other's goals and dreams and wishes, because that's what friends do. So Aquarius, you're going through a 10th house transit. This is angular. So it's all about your career, your status, your public image, how the world sees you, the legacy. What are you leaving behind? And a big light might be shown. Oh, this is what I want to do. This is my ideal career. Or you might be reaching a level of completion professionally. Okay, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Or maybe you're working on a project and you reach this beautiful stage of completion and your work is bearing fruit. But a big light is being shown on you, so you might be very popular from the 12th of May to the 27th. I would say you can't really get away with much when you're going through a 10th house transit, i.e., you don't want to take too many breaks, right? Because your boss might be around. So you definitely want to step it up professionally during this time. And the card we chose for you is the Star. And the Star is about a nice, bright day that comes ahead, right? It's about hope in a really, really great future. And with the Star card, you might get an understanding of what your ideal future will look like. And it's about being inspired. This is the card that aligns with your sign in the tarot. So what can you do to be a beacon of hope for other people? What can you do to inspire yourself? How can you be responsible in terms of being inspired? And can you aspire to inspire? Because if you can do that, then, well, you're fulfilling the mission of Aquarius, because Aquarius is supposed to inspire other people. Shannon Elder said, carve your name on hearts, not tombstones. A legacy is etched into the minds of others and the stories they share about you. So think about what you want to leave behind in terms of how do you want people to feel? There's that quote, right? People might not remember you, but they'll remember how you feel, how you made them feel. So think about how you want people to remember you, how you want people to feel differently as a result of your existence, because that's going to be your legacy, right? And you can do that through the work that you do, especially in light of this transit, your professional 10th house transit. So happy full moon. And last but never least, my fishies. So Pisces, you're going through a 9th house transit. It's all about higher education, your higher mind, foreign travel, publishing, broadcasting, your philosophy. So a big light is being shown on these areas. So you might say, this is where I need to go. This is what I want to study. This is what I want to do. Or you might be reaching a stage of completion. Maybe you're graduating, right? Or maybe you're about ready to embark on a new journey or coming back from a big trip. Maybe you're reaching a climactic point in a publishing or broadcasting project. But the most important thing about the 9th house is your life philosophy. Like, what are we here for in terms of your perspective, right? How can you expand your mind? How can you grow? How can you take a leap of faith in some respects? Like whenever we go to a foreign land, we're taking a leap of faith, or embarking on a deep dive into some big study, we're taking a leap of faith, or publishing something, right? So allow yourself to let this full moon shine a light on how you need to expand, how you need to grow, how you need to go beyond the old self so you can allow yourself to develop more fully into who you are. Now, the card we chose for you is Temperance, which is really cool because Temperance is aligned with Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is aligned with the 9th house. The Temperance card is about finding the right combination of things to make you well or happy. And it's very positive. But eager enthusiasm, right? And it's a balance of temperament, patience, and tolerance. And that'll be important. The Temperance card also suggests that no matter what you're feeling, whether you're happy, mad, glad, whatever, to maintain that even flow of emotions from you. Flow with your emotions. Channel them in a positive way, because if we keep that intensity, if we keep negative emotions within ourselves, that creates dis-ease, and you don't want that. So I'm not suggesting you blow a gasket, but maybe it's a matter of journaling or writing, or allowing yourself to vent, not to stay in that dirty bath water, but to let it flow. Henry James said, the only use of a new world is to show us what we have already, what we have known from the first. So when you embark on this new journey and you step into a new world, you see with new eyes, a new perspective, your previous world, where you actually were. And that's one of the greatest things about travel or getting involved in something that is foreign, because it gives you perspective of where you've been. and allows you to make those adjustments. Travel in the old days was actually a form of education. So allow yourself to explore and experience new worlds. And that should be great for you. And happy full moon. So final thoughts, folks. Embrace the emotional intensity of this full moon, but exercise caution. You don't want to have to walk back things, right? You want to be flexible. Heightened emotions may cloud rational thinking. For a lot of us tonight, we got sword court cards, either King of Swords or Queen of Swords. So you want to make sure that you're being rational. Remember, this is a full moon. The sun is in Taurus and the moon is in Scorpio. So how can you balance what you have to hold on to, what you want to hold on to, and what you need to release? How can you balance what is yours and what you share with other people? And confront and release those emotional skeletons. They come out, right? And you want to embrace the dark side. That's just part of you. You want to integrate it. Because those of us that ignore the darker aspects of our personality, guess what? They come up as partners. We meet our unlived selves, right? So embrace the darker aspects of your personality and integrate it. Remember, your light is only as bright as the shadow it sits beside. So be sure to integrate those darker emotions. Look at them, befriend them, integrate them. Further, embrace the journey and trust your intuition. Allow the transformative power of the Scorpio full moon to guide you. So make peace of mind your only goal and see what your intuition says. Shed old skin and release what no longer serves you, of course. If you're going to let something go, you may as well do it under a Scorpio full moon. And finally, trust the process of rebirth and renewal to lead you to your most joyful life. My pleasure, Casimir. Nice to see you tonight. So we did it, folks. We went through every single one. I wish you a wonderful full moon. Do check out my website, psychicsun.com, if there's anything I can do for you. And I'll see you for this week astrology tomorrow if you're catching this live at 1 p.m. Eastern. Take good care, everybody, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.